On today's show, we visit with the Downtown Waterfront Association, enjoy a spoken word performance, talk about upcoming things to do in our South Shore towns, and the end-of-life planning conversations that are hard to have, but are an important gift to your loved ones and your peace of mind. I'm Elizabeth. Let's get started. Eclectic performance venues, unique dining, quaint shops, historical sites, and fun attractions make the Plymouth Downtown Waterfront District a destination stop for thousands of visitors each year. And because it takes a village to keep things running smoothly, the Downtown Waterfront District Association was formed. Comprised of local business proprietors, the association's goal is a vibrant waterfront where neighbors and visitors alike experience the area in the best possible way. We went on the local scene to learn more.
The Downtown Waterfront District is actually a result of COVID, if you can believe that. It was a couple years ago when COVID came out and they let all the businesses have outdoor dining. But then once that was established, we were trying to think like, okay, what else can we do? We all got together and we made this great thing happen. What else can we do? So we kind of just went from there and created a 501c3, and now we're a nonprofit organization.
So the Downtown Waterfront District works with the town to improve either employee and town resident experiences, customers shopping around town. We try to make sure that we are the voice that kind of advocates and says what customers are saying to us, whether it's parking issues, whether it's lighting issues. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable walking to their car at night because it's dark, well, then we can tell the town what we're hearing from residents. I think that we are a conduit in a way. We are helping to advocate and explain what challenges the town might be facing and what we see day to day inside our own businesses.
You know, since we opened the business, we've been approached a few times by different groups and associations that have really tried to get things formed and up and running, and it's never really taken off. And I think we finally found the right group of people that's gonna, be motivated to try and take it and keep it going.
Well, we have a lot of goals as the Downtown Waterfront District. Primarily, we want to help businesses thrive within this district. So it's all Water Street, the side streets, Main Street, Court Street, that sort of thing. We're trying to create events that'll get people down here, beautify the town so that it looks better. We have a much better presentation for tourists who come for the day or weekend.
We have three major goals that we've set for ourselves in 2023, and one of them is to work on Brewster Gardens again this year. Brewster Gardens 2022 was awesome. It was the holiday lights down in Brewster Gardens, if anybody got to walk through there. And then our second goal is to work on lighting in the downtown area, just improving lighting. So we already have the town working on installing lights leading up by Town Hall to the parking deck. And that was something that we suggested because we said that a lot of our employees didn't feel safe walking up there at night, back to their cars. So now there's gonna be 4 more lights from Eversource along that way. Our third goal is beautification. It's to improve the downtown waterfront district area, have cleaner streets, more garbage cans, dog waste stations, as well as a giant Adirondack chair for tourists to take photos in when they're visiting Plymouth.
A lot of people have seen them all over. They're in Provincetown, they're in Newport, they're even in Mashpee Commons. Any kind of tourist destination seems to have them now, and they're great photo ops. So when we saw them, we thought, oh my gosh, that would be such a great idea if Plymouth had a giant Adirondack chair. Tourists and locals too, hopefully, would come in, take pictures of their friends and family in the chair, hashtag Plymouth Mass, hashtag America's Hometown, and really just kind of try to elevate Plymouth as a destination for a day trip, a weekend trip, that sort of thing.
We've had an awesome response from the town, actually. Lee Hartman from Planning and Development tends to sit in at all our meetings. Derek Brindisi's been into a couple meetings. So we've had some pretty good buy-in from the town. They've been receptive to what we're trying to do, and they've even been very helpful in, pointing us in the right direction as to how to accomplish some of the goals that we're trying to accomplish. So it's been a really good working relationship with them so far.
Without them, we couldn't have gotten half of what we accomplished. We've also worked with the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce and City Plymouth. They've been super supportive. Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce has been our fiscal agent to get us on our feet. And Stephen Cole in the Plymouth Foundation has been amazing. They've given us seed money to start some of these programs. Yeah, we had no idea what we were in for, but it's been very rewarding.
So some of the ways we're trying to improve the experience of coming downtown is to have more businesses open a little bit later. That's a big part of, trying to encourage businesses to be open a little bit longer in the summertime so it doesn't become kind of just restaurants only. Maybe we can have some more retail open a little bit later, as well as just trying to make it a more walkable, beautiful area.
The downtown area is 1 block away from the waterfront. And I think a lot of tourists come to look at the Mayflower, to look at the rock, and unfortunately there's not a lot of signage down there to let them know that there's a lot more attractions. There's shopping, there's dining, there's public restrooms up in this area. So that's one of our goals for this year, is to work with the DPW, the Historic Commission, the town of Plymouth, and get better, more consistent, attractive signage down at the waterfront to let them know that we exist here up on Main Street. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is the perception of lack of parking in Plymouth. Some people say we have a walking problem, we don't have a parking problem.
People driving around who have never been to Plymouth might not know that there's a parking lot right behind my building here when they come shopping. And they think, oh, I can't parallel park. Where am I gonna park around town? So communicating that better, having better signage and wayfinding around the town, I think would be very helpful for that.
We do have Desmond from Park Plymouth. He attends our meetings as well. So we're working with them. We redid the maps that instead of showing distances, now they show walking times. So you can say, okay, if you park at this lot, it's a 5-minute walk to get here, or a 3-minute walk instead of a half mile or 3/4 of a mile, because sometimes I think seeing it in minutes is easier for us to translate how close things are. In that sense. I know Park Plymouth has, worked on some rates and stuff for some of the other lots to help make parking a little more affordable and easier, but I think it's really working with them on almost a publicity campaign, and the conversation is, parking, but I think how do we educate people that there are lots of lots that are very affordable, and pretty much there's a lot that's probably pretty close to anywhere you want to be in downtown Plymouth.
We've already made huge changes for the town. I think we've already made a lot of changes for people that they can see in their day-to-day life.
I think it's going to continue to grow. I mean, downtown, you have Koji that's moving. They're opening up a second location. You have another tap room going in. You have a market going into the old Exchange building.
Plymouth has undergone a huge transformation in the past 5 years. We have some great restaurants now, and I think that Plymouth is getting to be known as a dining, a foodie destination, which people probably who lived here 10 years ago wouldn't believe me hearing that now.
It's been exciting coming here and being here and just watching it grow and evolve, just watching, groups like this one form that are really trying to help make Plymouth more.
Ready Player One is a book and movie set in the year 2045, where the human race seeks solace from its dystopian existence in a virtual reality gaming system named Oasis. When the creator of Oasis dies, players learn that he has left behind a challenge: find an Easter egg that will grant the victor all of his fame, fortune and control of his gaming empire. On June 28th from 2 to 4 p.m., race to the Duxbury Free Library for an interactive viewing of this action-packed sci-fi adventure as your clan uses supplied props and a script to live-action roleplay the Ready Player One experience. Registration is required. Visit the Duxbury Free Library website. Kick off the summer season with Mad Scientists at the Kingston Public Library. On June 20th at 11 a.m., kids aged 4 and up will be so dazzled by this spectacular show of impressive science experiments, they'll forget their learning. For science that looks like magic, register via the Kingston Public Library website. Next up is the local scene's own Tiff Phillips in a reading of her original work.
Our next poet tonight is Tiff Phillips, who I've had the pleasure to get to know myself also over the last few years. And she is the creative producer and writer for the local scene at BIPAC TV. She also performs at poetry slams and as a stand-up comedian. Very funny person, by the way, if you haven't get to know her yet. But considers her true profession being an aunt to her nieces Emmy, Eleanor, and Livy. Come on up, Tiff.
Hi. So lately I've been writing a lot of icky stuff about mental health. So I'm just gonna give a trigger warning, just if you're uncomfortable with that kind of thing. I understand, feel free, I won't be offended if you step out. And if you need any mental health resources, I'm available after the show. There are over 43 million people in this country who are battling mental illness, so you're not alone. Let's chat about it. This is called Letters. Dear self at day 0, welcome to the world, baby girl. Make sure to put your tray in the upright position. We are ready for takeoff. You are in for quite the ride. Everyone is excited that you're here. They swaddle you in pink, breathe in your baby scent, caress those chunka-munka cheeks. By the way, those don't go away. You are going to look 12 for the rest of your life, but that's okay. You have a lot of people who love you. Some will love you in a way that leaves you breathless. Some will love you in a way that makes only sense to them. Take what you need and leave the rest. Dear self at 5, your aunt is here. You're asleep so you don't know, but something is brewing. There are pills, there are yells, the air is thick. But he's just going through a rough patch. He's fine. He'll be fine. Even though he weeps, no one calls an ambulance and the world goes back to sleep. Dear self at 12, your body is changing, things are growing, everything is confusing. Sometimes you feel like you're on top of the world, heaping bowls of cereal and Saturday morning cartoons, Power Ranger trading cards, great delicious bubblegum, King's Castle and Spice Girls on MTV, euphoric and lightheaded between 1 and 10, a freaking 13. And then there are other times though, you're crying, tantruming, screaming, nervous system reeling, your breathing gets all caught up in your lungs and the panic just rises and rises. And you can't go to school because none of the clothes look good on your fat body and everybody sees. And also you're feeling things. People are dating, but boys are gross. They sweat, they smell weird, and they're never nice. But when your friend asks why you don't have pictures of boys on your wall, you get a boyfriend real quick. Poor old kid didn't even get a kiss. But you also like the way your English teacher smiles and the girl next to you wears the nicest body spray. Note to you, girlfriend, those feelings will never go away. That too is okay. Dear self at 14, high school is terrible. You feel invisible. Home is a giant what the hell. When it's good, it's so good. But when it's bad, it feels like this all-consuming sense of foreboding. Tick, tock, boom. Everything around is exploding. And then it really hits, and you decide you want peace, and you try to end the pain in the first floor bathroom, and the school calls home. He shows up whispering, I love you, I love you, I love you, but she never comes. Remember, some will love you in a way that leaves you breathless. Some will only love you in a way that makes sense to them. Take what you need and leave the rest. Dear 17, hey little Janice Ian, you got into college, look at you go. You didn't want to apply, but your aunt showed up with a Princeton review one night and said start searching. So, ta-da, you're in college. What the hell, you're not smart enough for this. But here we go, we're just gonna wing it. You have never fit in before, anywhere. But your floor mates are a gaggle of weirdos, a weirdness that sees you're weird and raises it to mega weird. and you love it. For the first time in your life, you have a voice. You actually have things to say. You're loud, you're funny, and people think you should be on stage. But the next 4 years, there are parties, and for a while you forget that college is more than parties, but you get it together, and for the first time, you think you're actually smart, and you fall in love, and the world feels warm. Like the universe is just pulling the earth closer to the sun, and you're floating up, up, up. But then there are days when it's hard, and you have no reasons, that you're crying and you're screaming like someone ripped all of your seams and let your innards out. But you're the life of a party, so you push that stuff aside. Grab a beer, you'll get back to those feelings later. There's shenanigans afoot. Later. Just deal with it later. High 20s, it's later. Oh boy, congrats. You got a diagnosis. Someone gave it a name. That festering feeling inside your bones that swallowed you up. Sometimes with new meds you feel nothing. Med change, now you feel everything. Med change, now the world is on fire. And that you're the only one who can put it out. Med change, now you're outside with no shoes. Awesome, what a time to be alive. Your apartment is done, your car is broken, your job non-existent, your community has left. There is not one relationship you're not struggling in. You have burned every bridge and took the ashes and rolled in them. It's dire, it's scary. There is no safety net, no place to fall. But the good thing about being at the bottom is there's nothing, not one damn thing to lose. So slowly you rebuild yourself. Step 1, breathe. Step 2, get a job. Step 3, make amends. You hurt your parents again. Step 4, breathe, breathe, breathe. Just keep breathing. Deal self in her 30s. I love you. You're okay. Even when you're not okay, you're okay. You're fun, you're loved by someone who loves you in a way that makes sense to you. You have the best intentions and you make people feel like they matter because in your ripe old age, you see that everyone does matter. That we all deserve peace and everyone deserves a shot. We all watch the movies. Happily After is an unrealistic expectation to score. Happy Ever, Well-Adjusted is the stuff that dreams are made of, the stuff that we should be fighting for. Life is not linear. The struggle is in the everyday. We struggle, we adapt, we mess up, we retract, we fall, and we get back up. And it is okay. It is okay to have a bad day, to feel like not all is well, to embrace the sweet, the sour, and everything in between. But it is not okay to give up. You stay down for a few, but you make sure you get back up. Love others, but love yourself first. Embrace your weird, you beautiful oddity, and let yourself shine. The world is out there waiting for you. Stand up, put your shoes on, go outside. I love you. For the first time, I'm saying it for the world to hear. I love you, and I'm rooting for you, and all you have in this world to give, let's do it. I'm begging you. Let's just live. Thank you.
Mother hens are missing their eggs, and the Pembroke Public Library invites kids aged 8 through 12 to help reunite them. In this June 27th escape room adventure, kids will test their investigative skills by deciphering clues, problem solving, and cracking the code to bring the little lost eggs back to their nests. This excellent quest begins at 1:30 p.m. To register, visit the Pembroke Public Library website. Why should you harvest water in a rain barrel? It can save you money on your water bill, reduce stormwater runoff and flooding on your property, and conserve water for later use in your garden. On June 20th at 6:30 p.m., join Jackie Millar from Terracura Inc. at the Plymouth Public Library when she'll guide you through the variety of rain barrels, where to purchase them, and how to set up a water catchment system at your home. This program is funded by the Institute of Museum and Library Services and administered by the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. No registration is necessary. What matters most to you at the end of life? The Conversation Project is an initiative that aims to facilitate open dialogue with loved ones so that our wishes about support and healthcare can be understood and respected. On this episode of Looking Forward with our senior centers, Julie Thompson sat down with local senior center directors and end-of-life educator and family support specialist Cheryl Botieri to learn more.
I am so happy to welcome our panel today. We are joined by Michelle Brady, who is the director of the Plymouth Elder Services and the Center for Active Living, and you're also the chair of the Plymouth Senior Task Force.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
We also have Joanne Moore. Joanne is the director of Duxbury Senior Center and the co-chair of the Plymouth Senior Task Force. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having
And
me today.
You're very welcome. And our special guest is Cheryl Botieri, who is an end-of-life educator and family support specialist, and also a member of the Plymouth Senior Task Force. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us for this very special and very important discussion today. So I'm going to put the first question to you, Cheryl. What is National Healthcare Decisions Day, which is what we're going to talk about today, and why is it important?
Well, National Healthcare Decisions Day is a day that happens every year on April 16th. And the reason behind it is because the one thing that you can always count on is death and taxes. So it's always after tax day. So a little humor there. But really a serious topic, but a prompt for people to really think about healthcare decisions.
Okay.
And so I've had the good fortune to work with Michelle and now Joanne at the senior centers to really every year think about how might we help people to learn more about healthcare decisions. Because every single person gets to make those decisions. And yes, you want to have discussions and conversations with your healthcare team, with your family, family of origin, family of choice, friends. So every year we celebrate that. And we have kind of a community campaign. And then over the course of April, May, June, we slide in some other types of workshops and webinars and opportunities to really kind of look at things a little bit more tactfully. But for me, as an end-of-life educator and family educator, to get people comfortable about having some of these conversations. And then we talk about some tools and we talk about some of the ways that you might start these conversations. So it's really a way to begin.
Okay. So it's called Healthcare Decisions Day.
National Healthcare
Right.
Decisions
Okay.
Day.
So is it more than just healthcare decisions, and what healthcare decisions are you referring to?
For this specific topic, this day, it starts with healthcare.
Okay.
But as we're going to talk a lot about today, there's so many things that underpin that, right? So yes, there's healthcare decisions, there's advanced care planning and directives. My daughter's a social worker, and so she, in class, she works with children, and she told me a story about how all these children were in the river, so we were helping to save them. The social workers, helping. Finally, one got up and said, "Who the heck's throwing them? We got to go, some of us, upriver to figure this out." That's what I look at National Healthcare Decisions Day and talking about these things. So it's a point to let's do this before a crisis happens. And so as an educator, getting folks to learn and be aware of what their choices are so that they can think about those things, and we can talk a little bit more about it. But yeah.
Okay. So what can you do? What can an individual do to start this whole process? Where do you begin?
Number one, with yourself.
Okay. So talk
Right.
about that.
So I say that I work with folks to live well, age well, and die well.
Okay.
I have my own practice called Aging with Grit, Grace, and Dignity. And that is my wish for everyone, is that they get to age well and live well and die well. So it really, you want to start with yourself. What are your wishes, right? And so based on your family history, based on your medical history, but we're going to talk a little bit about where do you want to age well and live well and die well? Because 100% of us are going to die. 100% of the people that you know, 100% guarantee.
Right.
There's not many things that you can say it's 100%. But if we learn what those choices could be, and by talking like we are today, people are going to watch this show and they're going to think, do I want to stay in Plymouth? What are the services? That's what we're working on with the Senior Task Force, right? What are some of the things that I might have to do to improve the chances that I can stay in this community? Maybe it's not your exact house. Maybe you need a smaller house or you need to modify your home. These are all the things the Senior Task Force is really looking for.
Right.
And to help folks and to learn what is needed in this community and the surrounding communities.
So when you start this, you can start as probably as early as 18 because you're a legal adult at 18, right? You can start by being an organ donor on your license, right? Is that
There's all basic steps.
It's basic steps, right?
But it's to really kind of sit with, what if today was my last day?
Yeah.
Right? What if I got the news that I have a year. Like, no matter what age, those conversations happen. Families that I'm working with right now, it can be a young mom at 43 with pancreatic cancer, or it can be someone 54 with colon cancer, or somebody that's older and is starting to think, I'm by myself, can I stay in this community?
Okay, that's a great lead into the discussion. Michelle, let me ask you a question. Sure. Where do people want to live and age well? And how is Plymouth and the COA in general working to help people age in place? And can you define age in place for me?
I can do all of those things.
Great. That was a mouthful. Go.
So as Cheryl mentioned, and you've been gracious enough to have me on and us on in terms of talking about this, Plymouth is tackling this issue and really looking at how we can assist our residents by forming the senior task force. And out of the senior task force, we are determined as a community to become an age and dementia friendly designated community. It's so important. And it's such a broad topic, but it's really important. To your point, people want to age in place. When people think about aging in place, people think about elders, right?
I did.
Age in place might mean, how am I going to keep my mom or my dad or my sister or my best friend in their home, or transition them to a home that makes more sense, as Cheryl said, downsize. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the whole community, the age and dementia friendly movement, the lifelong conversations, if you were told tomorrow at 30 you had a year, the community is about aging as a whole. Mm-hmm. So for the the college graduate who loves their town, they love Plymouth, they met the person of their dreams, they want to start a family here, or they want to put down roots in Plymouth. That's aging in place. The place they want to be, can they successfully age? Will the young person find professional opportunities? Will the young person find affordable housing? We think of affordable housing, we think of senior housing. No, we all need affordable housing, whether that's a new mortgage, an apartment, a condo, what have you. Can we survive and raise a family here? What are the schools like? Is our community supporting our desire to age and put down roots in Plymouth? Mm-hmm. Of course it involves elders. Naturally it does, for the reasons I said. But as a full community, it's everybody.
It's the whole life cycle.
It's the whole life cycle.
Yeah, so that's how we have to look at it, the whole
Yes.
life cycle. And what specifically has the has Cal done to start this process in Plymouth?
What haven't we done?
I love that answer. Go ahead.
So in seriousness, the senior task force is a huge catalyst for this. We don't want to just assume, because we run a senior center, that we know what seniors and or residents want. Mm-hmm. We want to hear directly from the people in our community. So we have the senior task force to look at aging across the lifespan and to hear directly from our residents. That's step one. We've hired UMass Boston. They're renowned in their field for getting this out of communities. Mm-hmm. We have community forums. We want to hear the voice of people of all ages to determine what we should do. And then the COA itself, we do these conversations. We have wonderful people like Cheryl who come to us and say, hey, we can do this better. And we buy into that because it makes sense. Mm-hmm. We collaborate. Duxbury and Plymouth do so many things together because it just supports our communities.
Let's talk about Duxbury for a minute. Joanne, obviously Plymouth isn't the only town that or the COA that's focused on these issues.
Sure.
So can you talk a little about what's happening in Duxbury and then what's happening across the state in general?
Sure. So we are also doing the age and dementia friendly process. Our survey has just been complete, and so thankful. We had over 1,500 responses of people of all ages, and really are pleased with the results. The top 4 results ended up being housing, and I won't be surprised that they're similar in Plymouth: transportation, mental health, and communication. So what we're doing is actually at our board meeting tomorrow, our board will recommend that a formal task force from our welcoming committee, which is a subcommittee of our long-range plan committee, be made a formal committee like Plymouth. It will be brought forth to the select board, and then our work with OCPC will begin to really flush out those topics, meet with experts, and then a final report will be shared with the select board and the town manager, hopefully in late fall. So that's what's happening in Duxbury.
What's OCPC?
Old Colony Planning Council.
Okay.
So like UMass Gerontology, we're working with a regional planning agency. They helped us do our survey, get the results, and they'll work with experts on the South Shore and in Massachusetts to help us move to the next level.
Okay. Let's go back to you for a second, Cheryl. And what is anything we need to fill in from what they've said before we go on to more questions?
No, I think that this is just a really great example of how each community, right, tries to find out what are the differences, what are the things that they need to perhaps work on, what are the support, the services, because each town's so unique.
Right, so different. So you've talked about kind of the lifespan of people making their plans to be able to stay wherever they want to stay for most of their lives. So, and you are an end-of-life specialist, really. So do you deal more with those families and those situations that have to face that? They're at that critical point. Or do you deal with everybody and say we have to make our end-of-life plan starting right when you're young?
So I kind of have my work in 2 different directions.
Yeah.
Kind of like that story I told, right? I love to do community education so that we're starting before to start putting these thoughts in people's mind that I should maybe start thinking about this now. I would say that almost everyone has a story of someone that perhaps got the call that there's a sudden illness or an accident. My husband, as chief of police in this town, for many years, we would get the call that came in the middle of the night. And so I would know that a very difficult visit was happening. And it didn't matter what age, right? And so that's where helping people to start to think about this. So the community education part, the raising awareness of this. For a town to be taking on this age and dementia friendly is so progressive and just really so important, so that as we're having these community forums and we're getting all this information out there, we can see where the gaps in services are, right? And there are some. We've already identified quite a few just on our senior task force, and really around end-of-life planning and family caregiving, because that is a huge underpinning. How do you stay in your community if you need services because you have a serious illness, an accident, or a disability?
Right.
So that's where we're working together on the senior task force, but also within the community in my line of work is to really provide education and then work with individuals and families so that we can help them.
The education part is, I would think, tell me if I say this wrong, is a little bit easier because you're dealing with an overall broad subject. You're dealing with, these are all the things you should be thinking about now for planning for your future, where we don't have a crisis yet. And then there's the other end of that where we're getting to the point where dad and mom can't be here anymore, or it's where they're going to fall, they're going to have an accident, I'm scared for them. Or we just got the call that you have a terminal illness. So that's a whole different perspective that you have to bring to this. And it seems to me that you're encompassing all of this. In your data and in your, and what do you hope to pull out of this in the end as an action plan for everybody, whether you're 18 or you're 88? What are the action plans going to be?
I think for Plymouth or any community, the action plan is, at the end of the day, whatever age you are and whatever, everyone's going to face crises, barriers, whether it's financial, whether it's health, whether it's support. You want a community that has resources in it that can A, help you maybe directly, that would be the perfect world,
Right.
or at least B, is an opportunity to say, Plymouth supports me. I know that if I turn to blank, if I call blank, oh, there's this in Plymouth, they will direct and guide me to the resources I need while I'm going through this difficult time. That's a great community. That's the end game.
Okay, great.
And I was going to say, across the state, 125 senior centers and towns are working on this age and dementia-friendly process. So that's about a third of them. There's 351 towns in the Commonwealth, and 350 have councils on aging. So we are a really important resource in the community. We're the first door you should come in. If you have a question, if you have a concern, if you're becoming a senior or not quite yet a senior, but you want to get engaged and be part of the community, we're the door you should come through. We provide education and recreation and exercise and social, but it's way more than that. If you have a question, call us. We're here. We'll have the answer. And if we don't have the answer, we'll find the answer. So our job is to help the community stay strong. Like Michelle said, we're an important resource. And we really want everyone to know that. A lot of times, I don't know if you hear it in Plymouth, do people live there? I hear a lot, and I say no, but come on in. And we are a town department, like the fire department, like the police department. We're emergency management. We're there to help and, guide and provide support to community members. And that's not just a 60-year-old and over. It is the family caregiver. It is someone taking care of their grandma. It might be your next door neighbor. We're just a phone call away. I think that's really important to know.
And that's a really important distinction to make, because people don't view themselves as, I'm part of this population. And they should, because if they are responsible for taking care or even coordinating the care for someone, it's not always easy.
No.
And it's not always inexpensive, and it's not always possible.
If I could say, to Joanne's point, maybe 50-50, but it's more rare we get a call directly from a senior recognizing that they might need some assistance. It's more often their child or their neighbor or their sister or their loved one. So it is the age, it is across the board, people calling of different ages.
You want to add to this?
I just, when you look at all of the different things that people face with a serious illness or aging, there are so many services, but it's still really hard to navigate. As a family caregiver right now, and I've been one for a number of years for my mom and my stepdad, it's still hard to navigate. And so that's what we're trying to see with the Senior Task Force. Where are these gaps? What are the barriers for people? And what we're really finding is family caregiving and getting help, especially in the Plymouth community, it's really very difficult right now. There's a 6-week to 12-week wait period for home health aid or home personal aid. And so having a mom in the hospital and then to rehab and then trying to bring them home is a very long and difficult process. And so that's why the education of this is so important as well, because you don't have that roadmap. Right? And so the more we can have programs, whether it be at the councils on aging, the libraries, right? At the Chamber of Commerce, to try to say this day is going to come for all of us, whether it be an accident, a serious illness. I'm not just talking about death. And I think that's one of the things I've been very bold about, is saying this is about dying so you can live well, so you can age well. Because that is probably one of the hardest barriers. I was just at the Chamber event a couple of weeks ago, and whenever I would bring up, I have a 100% guarantee for you. You do? Yes. We are all going to die. And my kids are like, ooh, that's a little harsh, Mom. And I said, I have to be bold, because that's what I want people to really think about so they can live well. And so it's very, very hard to admit you need help, right? That you might not know who to go to. And that's why I do love the Councils on Aging. First call.
Yeah.
But then what? And so that's what we're working to provide programs. We had a wonderful program that Norwell Council on Aging did. Live well, age well. And every other week it was a different panel. Financial, legal, healthcare, end of life.
And that's really, I think, that what newbies to this that haven't even thought about this yet really need to understand, that there's different components of this.
Yes.
And almost having a list. Where's my checklist? What should I do? And it's different, like you said, it's different for everyone. This length of time that we have to wait before we can get help for whether it's home health or into a facility for rehab. I've gone through this with my family recently, and it's a nightmare. And if everybody in the family works full time, that causes a challenge. If there's no insurance that's paying for this, it's a huge challenge. And all these things, I'm sure, sometimes it's easier to just say, I'll just,
But when you're in crisis,
right, you can't
don't
do that.
have as much time
Exactly.
to do this groundwork. And so helping a family member right now with just travel arrangements for 4-day-a-week treatment, okay, person is working, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes, there's bits and pieces of help, but when you have to put a 4-day-a-week schedule together for 6 weeks, it is daunting.
Right.
It is daunting.
Right.
And so this is just what we're kind of, scraping at the top of the
surface of it.
iceberg of this, and that's why we want to dig deep within the town and say where are the gaps,
Right.
where are the services, where's the education
Yep.
that's needed so that folks, when they do hit one of these problems, challenges, they know they have support.
There's more. And there's support that not only has the desire to help, but now has the resources to help. And is that the bottom line? Is getting the resources?
I was just thinking, not just having the resources, having the conversation before the crisis. So, you know what? Let's get these documents filled out. Let's know where they are, because that's really important. Make sure your doctor has a copy, your healthcare proxy has a copy. Have that conversation with your children to say, you know what? I'm okay with this. Was my journey.
Right.
And when I get to this point, this is what I want.
Right.
Because then they're not left to guess. Does mom or dad want this, or do I want this?
Right.
We've had that conversation when it's not a stressful, high emotion time. It's around the dinner table.
Exactly. Yeah. I've always said to my kids, if I get hit by a bus, you know exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And they've known that since they were little kids.
Right.
So to me, it wasn't a frightening thing. It was just like, these are all the things. And I had, luckily, a lot of people that guided me to make sure I did all those right things.
And what a gift. My mom recently passed away.
I'm sorry.
But we had most of the conversations.
Yeah.
I knew what she wanted, and it was a gift to me. So in families, and I know we talked a little bit about there's challenges. Some families don't want to talk about this. Some families don't talk about that. And that's why someone like myself, or having a workshop at the Councils on Aging, people hear from different people that aren't their family, and they say, oh, I would never have thought to do that. And I have goosebumps. It's a wonderful sharing, so that it gives people the confidence to say, I can say this is my choice.
Right.
And that's the ultimate gift to both yourself as well as to your family, your friends, to say, this is my choice, this is my decision.
Yeah.
And so the more we can talk about it, have the conversations, it just helps.
Oh, absolutely. And the last thing I want to bring up before I have you just kind of give your final thoughts is the financial implications of this, and budgeting and funding. And everything costs money. And not everybody has the right insurance, and there's not a lot of places to live. I'm talking more as you get older. What do you hope, what component of that do you hope to succeed in when all this is said and done?
Well, I'll go back to exactly where Cheryl left off. While there's not a money tree out back, right?
Right.
Planning helps. But the biggest thing that you can give somebody that's absolutely free is empowerment, right? So to empower someone to lay the groundwork, Your community has resources, know them, right? You're empowered. I don't have great insurance. I know this. I already know this about me. I'm worried. It's no different when we teach our kids. You have to save. There's a retirement in your future. You have to look at these variables. Kids go, oh no, I'm going to live. But they do. It does sink in. And just having the power to have these conversations, but to lay the groundwork. I don't know what the stock market's going to do in 20 years. I don't know what health insurance my town's going to offer in 5. I do know what resources, though, if I do my homework and empower myself and my family to find them. That's a great community. That's a great family.
That's perfect.
And I'm going to say the Senior Center Councils on Aging are just a call away, an important resource. If you need information, we're there. We're a support in the community, and there's so much that's offered at a senior center. If you don't know, come on in. We're looking forward to seeing you.
That's awesome. Cheryl?
The financial is worrisome, having just recently gone through, if you have a 6-week to 12-week wait, that's if you qualify, right? If you're paying fee for service, in our community, it's somewhere between $35 and $45 an hour with a minimum of how many, maybe 3 or 4 per day, at least twice a week. So if you do that math, we've got cause for concern.
Right.
And so how do we as a community rally for everyone?
Right.
And I think that's what is most important, is the Council on Aging, within each town can help coordinate a little bit of the services, but really it's about what Michelle said, educating yourself as to what are you going to possibly need, and does this town, does this place have this? And if not, how can we rally and how can we provide this? I mean, there's a wonderful, wonderful model on Martha's Vineyard, of Healthy Martha's Vineyard, and all the different towns kind of came together. Now they're an island, right?
Right.
But the work that they all did to say, how do we do this here? And that's what I love about what's happening. And the Councils on Aging, the board, the senior task force, the amount of people that are very interested in coordinating and collaborating. And again, not just for seniors,
Right.
but we are all, we hope, are going to get there. And I think one of the stats we were so surprised about here in Plymouth is that 40% of our population is over 50. Now by the year 2050 in the country, it's going to increase by 45%.
Yeah.
Like it's
We
gonna
are the
say-
growing population, that's for sure.
And the other statistic is there's more people 60 and older than 18 and younger. So even if you think a workforce and what's coming down the pike, we have to look at aging a little differently, knowing that our workforce is much smaller than that aging population.
Right, absolutely.
So a lot of planning needs to be done.
Yeah, and you've obviously started this, and it's really, I mean, I didn't really know much about this. It is so exciting to hear this. What if people want to ask questions or get involved or make suggestions or just contact you as a group and say, hey, I watched the show, it made me think, what about this? How do people get in touch? What do they do? Do they go to each individual Council on Aging, or do they talk to the senior task force? What's the best way to do it?
I think either. You can call your own senior center to reach out, or if you have a question, give one of the other senior centers in the region a call. We really try to work collaboratively to help each other out. It's nice that we're both working on the age and dementia friendly process. It will be great to see what both of our action plans look like at the end. It's wonderful because you'll be able to marry resources in your town with this action plan so you can move those initiatives forward.
Got it.
And we have some community forums coming up where we
just gonna
really
ask about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so part of the age and dementia friendly process for Plymouth right now, we have 4 of them where we want people of all ages to come out, ask the questions, express your concerns. Maybe it's not just concerns, maybe you actually have something to contribute.
Right.
So we're not just looking to tell you, how it should be. We want to hear from you everything. So those 4 community forums, they can call Cal I can gladly give them. They'll be publicized on our town website.
And we'll put all the information on the
Great,
on the,
thank you.
at the
Yes.
end of the show. Yeah, of ways to get in touch.
Awesome.
Okay. Final thoughts. I'll go you, and then Cheryl. What's your one takeaway? If you took nothing else away from watching this, what do you want people to think about?
I want you to think about how important your community is to you and the resources in your community. No matter what your age, you're going to need resources in your community. And if the people who work in your community are rooting for you, reach out to us. As Joanne said, COAs, Cal, we have so many options and so many pieces of information that you might need. And if we don't have the answer, we are the super highway of information.
Right, you're gonna find it.
We will find
yeah.
it for
We know that.
you,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Joanne.
Planning. I think the key is planning, so you have a wonderful future. It's not going to be an easy road, but if you take some of the guesswork out of it, it will be easier for you and your family. We just had a program the other day, and one woman said she had a binder, and it had different things that mom just said, and all the papers were in this binder. It wasn't pretty, but what a gift to your family when you find this binder and you find a funny card that she sent you or left behind for you. It's a gift.
Yeah.
So planning is a gift.
Cheryl, final thoughts here.
Final for me would be really, because of National Healthcare Decisions Day, is to take that time to think about what your decisions might be should something happen, or you're already in the process of something that you're going to have to make some plans for, so the planning part. But really to start with some of those important documents. So healthcare proxy, right? And that is, who can act on your behalf because they know your wishes. That's why I said at the beginning, what are your wishes, right? And then there's some other advanced directives like a living will. What are your personal decisions? It's not legally binding, but it really gives the story of what you might want. HIPAA forms, right? 18 and up, your kids go to college, you can't talk to a doctor or a nurse, for all of us, who can call the hospital and get some information. So HIPAA forms are really important.
Right.
Who do you want to get your information? Durable power of attorney is another. And then really for serious illness is a MOLST form. And so that's medical orders for life-sustaining treatment. And certainly, should you have a serious illness, you want to talk to your healthcare provider and have some of these conversations so that your choices that you talked about are really able to be done and honored for you.
Right.
So there's some tactical things,
Yep.
and then there's some personal things. But the tactical ones are very important to get those done first as soon as you can.
Right. And we've only really touched the tip of the iceberg here today, because there's so much more, and we'd love to have you back to find out a little bit down the road, how has this gone, and what are the next steps, and how can we get involved, and how can people, and I hope people heed what you've said today, because it's really not hard things to do. The conversations can be hard,
Very,
but
very
the
hard.
paperwork is the paperwork, right? It's getting started on it. I can't thank you all enough. This has been really wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us
Yeah,
today.
Cheryl
This
and,
was
and Joanne
awesome.
and Michelle, this has
thank
been
you.
wonderful. We'll do it again. This is Julie Thompson for PAC TV. Till next time.
What can the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce do for your business? Here's Bob Nolet with all you need to know about this vital organization.
The Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce is a not-for-profit business organization with about 850 members across 9 towns on the Lower South Shore. We're here to serve local businesses, but also the community at large. We do that by offering a variety of business networking opportunities, providing a strong voice on local and regional issues, offering educational seminars and special programs, and developing initiatives that improve the quality of life in our region. Find out how the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce can help your business too at plymouthchamber.com.
June is graduation season, and PAC TV was happy to provide live coverage for Pembroke and Silver Lake High School's class of 2023 graduations. Congratulations to all of our graduating seniors. And if you missed it or aren't in the area, it's available now on Laker TV and Titan TV YouTube pages. Check our channel schedule for local replays at pactv.org. On May 17th, 9 Quincy College students were honored at the annual pinning ceremony at the Plymouth campus for successfully completing the 2-year physical therapist assistant program. Local graduates include Hannah Alves, Gerard DeCoste, Sean DeCoste, Michael Dolan, Kayla Smith, and Olivia Whalen. The Quincy College Physical Therapist Assistant Program is a 5-semester, full-time program that features foundational content, technical courses, and a clinical component. Physical therapy is a growing and necessary field. Congratulations to the new PTAs. And that's what's good and good to know on the local scene this week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. We are grateful for your attention. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the local scene here and share everywhere. Thank you, friends.